1966 wasn't just any year in automotive history. This was when the horsepower wars were heating up, when Detroit was pumping out machines that could tear up a quarter mile like nothing else on the planet. The Beatles were dominating the airwaves. Gas was just 32 cents a gallon, and American automakers were locked in a battle for straight-line supremacy. In 1966, it wasn't about fancy handling or fuel economy. It was about raw, unadulterated power. These weren't just cars. They were statements. They were weapons. They were the fastest things you could legally drive on American roads. So, buckle up as we count down the 8 fastest American cars of 1966. 8. Plymouth Satellite 426 Hemi. Our countdown kicks off with a car that might not have the name recognition of some Mopar legends, but make no mistake, the 1966 Plymouth Satellite with the 426 Hemi engine was an absolute monster. Plymouth introduced the Satellite as the top trim level of the mid-size Belvedere. But when they dropped in the legendary 426 Hemi, this family cruiser transformed into a street warrior. The numbers tell the story. 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque from that iconic hemispherical combustion chamber design. What made the Hemi so special? Those hemispherical combustion chambers allowed for larger valves and better airflow, creating an engine that could breathe better than anything else on the market. The result? Quarter-mile times in the mid-13-second range at speeds over 105 miles per hour. Absolutely blistering for 1966. The Satellite Hemi wasn't as flashy as its Roadrunner and GTX successors would be, but don't let that fool you. This was a sleeper in the truest sense. Conservative styling hiding one of the most potent power plants ever to come out of Detroit. With a 0 to 60 time of around 5.3 seconds, it might sit at number 8 on our list. But in 66, this was faster than almost anything else on the road. 7. Oldsmobile 442 W30. Coming in at number 7 is a car that represented GM's more sophisticated approach to performance. The 1966 Oldsmobile 442 with the ultra-rare W30 performance package. The 442 name originally stood for 4-barrel carburetor, 4-speed manual, and dual exhaust. By 1966, it was a distinct model with serious performance credentials. The standard 442 was impressive enough with its 400 cubic inch V8 putting out 350 horsepower, but the W30 package took things to another level. The W30 added a hotter cam, adjustable rocker arms, and a unique forced air induction system that drew cold air through tubes connected to special front bumper scoops. Only 54 W30 packages were installed in 1966, making this one of the rarest muscle cars of the era. With the W30 upgrades, output jumped to somewhere around 360 to 370 horsepower, though many experts believe it was underrated. These special 442s could hit 60 miles per hour in about 5.5 seconds and run the quarter mile in 13.8 seconds at 102 miles per hour. What's fascinating about the 442 W30 is how it balanced performance with Oldsmobile's more upscale image. Inside, you got a plush interior with all the comfort features, but under the hood lurked an engine that could hang with the best of them. It was the gentleman's muscle car that could still raise hell when the light turned green. 6. Chevrolet Chevel SS396. At number 6, we have one of the most iconic nameplates in muscle car history, the 1966 Chevrolet Chevel SS396. 1966 was the first full year of production for the SS396 Chevel, and it made quite an impression. This was Chevy's entry in the mid-size muscle car segment, competing directly with the GTO and 442. The big block 396 cubic inch V8 came in 2 flavors in 66, the L35 with 325 horsepower and the L34 with 360 horsepower. But here's where things get interesting. For those in the know, there was also an extremely rare L78 version of the 396 that pumped out 375 horsepower. Only a handful were built with this engine in 66, making it a unicorn among muscle cars. With the L78 engine, the Chevel could rocket from 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds and run the quarter mile in 13.8 seconds at 104 miles per hour. Not bad for a car that could comfortably seat 5 and still look good at the drive-in. What made the Chevel special was its perfect blend of performance, style, and practicality. It wasn't as wild-looking as some of its competitors, but that clean design has aged beautifully. The 66 model year also introduced the distinctive black grille that became a Chevel trademark, and those twin power bulges on the hood served as a warning to anyone foolish enough to rev their engine at a stoplight. Number 5. Pontiac GTO. Halfway through our countdown at number 5 is the car that started the whole muscle car phenomenon, the 1966 Pontiac GTO. By 1966, the GTO had already established itself as the benchmark for American performance. But Pontiac wasn't resting on its laurels. The 66 model featured a sleek redesign with a more fastback profile and a 389 cubic inch V8 that could be ordered with up to 360 horsepower in tri-power form. That's 3 two-barrel carburetors feeding that hungry V8. The 66 GTO with tri-power could hit 60 miles per hour in just 5.8 seconds and run the quarter mile in 14.5 seconds at 101 miles per hour. But raw numbers don't tell the whole story with the GTO. This was the car that brought performance to the masses. It wasn't just fast, it was attainable. And it looked damn good too. Pontiac's marketing of the GTO was as important as the car itself. They positioned it as a lifestyle choice, the car for the young and ambitious. The term muscle car wasn't even widely used yet. These were supercars, according to the automotive press of the day, and the GTO was their king. What's interesting about the 66 GTO is that it would be the last year for the legendary tri-power setup. Emissions regulations were beginning to tighten, and GM banned multiple carburetors on everything except the Corvette after 1966. It truly was the end of an era, making the 66 tri-power GTOs among the most collectible today. Number 4. Ford Fairlane 427. Breaking into our top 4 is a car that many casual enthusiasts might not be familiar with. The 1966 Ford Fairlane 427. In the mid-60s, Ford's racing efforts were in full swing, and they needed a lighter platform than the Galaxy to stay competitive. Enter the mid-size Fairlane, which Ford offered with an absolutely insane engine option in 1966. The R-Code 427 cubic inch V8 with dual 4-barrel carburetors, pumping out a conservative factory rating of 425 horsepower. Only 57 Fairlanes were built with this engine in 1966, making it one of the rarest production cars on our list. These weren't built for comfort, they were built for speed. With a 0 to 60 time of around 5.1 seconds and quarter-mile runs in the high 12-second range, at 112 miles per hour, the Fairlane 427 was a legitimate street terror. What made these cars special wasn't just their rarity or performance, it was their purpose-built nature. These weren't just fast street cars, they were barely disguised race cars with license plates. They came with fiberglass hoods and fenders to save weight, minimal sound insulation, and few luxury options. Ford wasn't messing around. This was a car built with one purpose: to go fast in a straight line. The Fairlane 427 represents a fascinating moment in American automotive history when the line between race car and street car was blurrier than ever. It may not have the name recognition of some muscle car icons, but in terms of raw performance, few cars of the era could touch it. 3. Dodge Coronet Hemi. Breaking into our top 3 at number 3 is the 1966 Dodge Coronet with the legendary 426 Hemi engine. While Plymouth had the Satellite Hemi, Dodge had its own mid-size monster in the form of the Coronet. The two cars shared the same 426 Hemi engine with its official rating of 425 horsepower, though most experts agree the actual output was closer to 470 to 480 horsepower. What gave the Coronet a slight edge over its Plymouth cousin was weight distribution and gearing options. Dodge seemed to put a bit more focus on straight-line performance with the Coronet, and it showed in the numbers. 0 to 60 in about 5.1 seconds, and quarter-mile times in the high 12-second range at around 113 miles per hour. The Coronet Hemi wasn't subtle about its intentions. Its aggressive styling with the split grille gave it a menacing presence, and those prominent Hemi badges left no doubt about what was under the hood. Inside, it was all business with its no-nonsense dashboard and front bench seat. A reminder that this was a machine built for speed, not luxury. What's particularly interesting about the 66 Coronet Hemi is that it represents the first year the 426 Hemi was available in a street-legal production car you could buy from your local Dodge dealer. The engine had been developed for racing in 1964, but 1966 marked its true arrival on American streets, and nothing would ever be the same. Number 2. Shelby GT350. Just missing the top spot at number 2 is a car that brought a different kind of performance to American roads. The 1966 Shelby GT350. Unlike the big block bruisers that dominate this list, the Shelby took a more sophisticated approach to speed. Starting with Ford's Mustang Fastback, Carroll Shelby and his team transformed it into a legitimate sports car that could not only go fast in a straight line but could also handle the corners. The heart of the GT350 was Ford's 289 cubic inch Hypo V8, which Shelby modified with a high-rise intake manifold, larger carburetor, and tubular headers to produce 306 horsepower. Impressive from just 289 cubic inches, but the engine was just the beginning. Shelby also upgraded the suspension with a larger front sway bar, traction bars, Coney shocks, and a Detroit locker rear end. The result was a car that could hit 60 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds and run the quarter mile in 14.3 seconds at 102 miles per hour. But more importantly, it could also take a corner at speeds that would send most muscle cars into the ditch. What makes the GT350 special is that it wasn't just about brute force. It was about balance and handling in an era when most American performance cars were focused solely on straight-line speed. It represented a different philosophy, one that valued driver engagement over raw numbers, and in doing so, it created a legend that still influences Mustang performance models today. Number 1. Shelby Cobra 427. And finally, at number 1, the fastest, most brutal American car of 1966, the Shelby Cobra 427. This isn't just the fastest American car of 1966, it's one of the most legendary performance cars ever built, period. Carroll Shelby's formula was simple but effective. Take a lightweight British AC Ace chassis and body, stuff it full of American V8 power, and create automotive magic. The 427 Cobra took this concept to its logical extreme. The massive 427 cubic inch Ford V8 was officially rated at 425 horsepower in street trim, but the competition versions could make well over 500 horsepower. In a car that weighed just 2,355 pounds, about half the weight of most muscle cars of the era, the results were nothing short of spectacular. The performance numbers were otherworldly for 1966. 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.8 seconds, 0 to 100 miles per hour in 8.8 seconds, and a quarter mile time of 12.4 seconds at 118 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, those acceleration figures would still be impressive for a sports car today, nearly 60 years later. What makes the Cobra so special is its raw, unfiltered nature. There were no compromises made for comfort or practicality. This was a car designed with one purpose in mind: to go as fast as humanly possible. The side exit exhaust created a soundtrack like nothing else on the road. The Spartan interior reminded you this was essentially a race car with license plates, and the lack of modern safety features meant driving one fast required serious skill and even more courage. Only 348,427 Cobras were ever built, making them incredibly rare and valuable today. They represent the peak of 1960s American performance, the automotive equivalent of a sledgehammer wrapped in beautiful aluminum bodywork. So there you have it, the 8 fastest American cars of 1966, a year when horsepower was king and the muscle car wars were in full swing. From the relatively common Chevel SS to the ultra-rare Cobra 427, these machines defined an era of American performance that many consider the golden age. What's fascinating about 1966 specifically is that it represented a sweet spot in automotive history. Emissions regulations hadn't yet strangled horsepower. Safety equipment hadn't added significant weight, and the oil crisis was still years away. Automakers were free to focus on one thing: going fast. The legacy of these cars continues to influence automotive design and culture today. You can see their DNA in modern muscle cars like the Challenger Hellcat, Camaro ZL1, and Shelby GT500, all of which carry on the tradition of unapologetic American performance. Before we wrap up, let's take one more look at our list. Plymouth Satellite 426 Hemi, Oldsmobile 442W30, Chevrolet Chevel SS396, Pontiac GTO, Ford Fairlane 427, Dodge Coronet Hemi, Shelby GT350, Shelby Cobra 427. Which of these legendary machines is your favorite? Drop a comment below and let me know which one you'd most want in your garage. And if you think I missed any contenders for the fastest of 66, let me know that too. If you enjoyed this trip back to the golden age of American muscle, hit that like button and subscribe for more automotive history. Next week, we'll be looking at the evolution of the Corvette from the C1 to the modern C8. Until then, keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down.